Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Beta Buy or Beta Not, where we go over whether you should buy a game based on the beta gameplay that is released before the game is actually out. My name's Dixon, and we're going to be going over OverWatch today. Overwatch is considered a character shooter in a sense, a first-person shooter where you have characters with different abilities and different powers. Now, keep in mind this is the beta release for it, so typically speaking, the beta does not directly reflect what the game will be at release. They usually make significant changes between the beta and the released content itself, but we did get word from Blizzard that they are actually going to be releasing almost the exact same thing that you guys played in the beta itself, or what we played in the beta itself, and what the gameplay you'll see today. So to start off, there is a couple little game modes here. There's of course the casual where you're playing against AIs. There's a training, and then there's the all-encompassing multiplayer. And where this is different from many games of this type of genre is that there is no necessary story mode. It is something that is told in little snippets that you can get the story from, but it is a multiplayer-centric type game, which is similar to, say, your Smites or your Titanfalls that they had in the past, where it's only focused on the multiplayer. So, to actually go into it, there's a couple different modes that you'll see throughout the gameplay we have here. One of them is a sort of capture, where you go to capture one point, and if you succeed in capturing one point, you move to capture a second point, A and B, and if you capture both points as the offense, you'll win. If you capture as the defense, or if you let them capture as the defense, you lose. They also have a payload where you're taking some tram of some sort and escorting it to the final location while fighting off the character players. And then there's another one which is kind of a mixture between the two. Going through and playing these, I will say this, and this is a big question that everyone asks, is like, this just seems like Battleborn 2.0. There's a similarity that exists between them, and that is that there is a vast amount of characters, and each character feels different from the last. There is little to no overlap in abilities, or not any that I can see, and every character feels unique in its own sense, that even within the certain classes that they have, the offense, defense, tank, and support roles, each one feels unique, and it feels like there's a different way that you can play it itself. Whereas with Battleborn, there's like the MOBA, you're fighting to defend the towers, and there's this crystal system that they had before. Overwatch is not like that. Overwatch is very much, you can pick it up and go immediately into it. You don't have to have a preset sort of items to go into a battle. You don't have to necessarily know how to push lanes and the strategies between it and worry about any jungle camps. This is not a MOBA game. That is the big difference that's happening between the two, and do not try to compare them, because yes, they are still hero shooters, so they are similar in the sense with that vast roster, but that's where the similarities end. It was a very nice game to actually go through and play itself, but there's a lot of uniqueness to it, and they do all have their ability classes where they have the two abilities and then some ultimate ability. And the big thing about it is that there's not much of a regenerating health system. There's not a lot going on with that. But you can actually go through, and it feels good to play. The one first complaint that I'm just going to get out of the way, it did feel a little bit clunkier. So with the characters, obviously with the tanks, it's something a little bit more prevalent. But one thing that I did notice is with some characters that shouldn't have been this way, it felt like I was driving an Oldsmobile with guns rather than actually playing a first-person shooter that felt quick to the point. With that being said, the gameplay is very quick and very in the moment. It is not a slow amount of gameplay. No matter how slow you may feel like you're moving in certain points and getting back to the match, it is not slow gameplay. The matches last maybe 10 to 15 minutes at most. It's very fast and very into what's going on. In addition to that, the abilities are something that of the people I played, a lot of the abilities just felt right. There was not one ability that felt to overpower everything else, and that's something that is very unique to this type of genre, I guess you would say, is that there is always this worry that you'll play as one character and it'll just be this ungodly, superhuman thing. And each of the characters felt balanced. The ones that were high damage output had low health, so you can do in and kill a lot of people, but if you stay around for too long or you get caught, you're done, you're over with. You can outmaneuver people, but at some point it's not going to be enough. You're going to be overtaken, and if you have a team that's going against you, it could take 2 people and they take you down. The big portion that probably is the most intriguing thing about this beta in general is the option to actually change heroes as you die. And that's something that I haven't seen in pretty much any of the newer games that have been released, is that a lot of times you'll start a match and you are set in your ways. You have this character that you're going to play as, and that's it. That's what you're going through the whole match with. But with this one, this is where the depth of the game actually comes from. Whereas games like Smite and Battleborn have this item system that you have to worry about and this money management that you have to worry about, this one's more about managing between which character is actually the best for a particular situation. So if you're playing a defensive mode type, your offensive people like your offensive people that are out there, like your assassins and the I can't remember for the life of me the gentleman with the double shotgun, but these are the ones that you're going to go in, and it changes based on the gameplay. You can't use them for defense. Also, you have people like Reinhardt, who are the defensive type people that you can easily counter someone one-on-one and disrupt a huge group of people, but when it comes down to it, if someone gets a jump on you, you could be going down and you could be done. And that's where I really felt that I liked that aspect of it. You won't see me doing a lot in this gameplay itself because I just wanted to go through and play the different characters and just try and get through a match to see how it goes. But the ability to change heroes mid-match definitely adds a new level of team composition, and that if this team's not working well together, you're not necessarily stuck with those characters throughout the match. You can change to someone entirely different. If you're not doing well at the tank class, you can change over to the support class that will help heal everybody. If you're not doing a good job as healing and you feel like you're dying too much, you can switch to the defensive one and put up turrets or fly around with a jetpack and shoot rockets. There's tons of different things that you can do, and it lets you mold your gameplay and mold how the game goes on the fly, rather than be stuck with a character you might not necessarily know and you just want to try out, and you are just stuck with them for the entire match. It's a fantastic thing to do. The moves felt good. It felt great to play. Besides the part where I mentioned it felt slow, when you actually get into the heat of the battle and you're going against opponents, it felt wonderful. It felt fluid in the moment. It felt like every move that I made mattered, and there were no abilities that trumped other abilities. If I had the upper edge and I just made sure to pay attention to my surroundings, I would be able to win the match. And that is something that a lot of times, if someone gets if you are an overpowered type character, you'll just win a match and go through and destroy everybody. But I never felt that with any of these characters in this game. Every character had their ups, every character had their downs, and the big portion of it, and this is something that maybe a turner may not, is that it's very, very much team oriented. You have to work with your team. You have to have this sort of either spoken or unspoken relationship with your teammates, and actually be able to know that someone's going to be covering this, someone's going to be going back a little bit more, and someone has to play the tank, someone has to play the support, and you have to focus on that to make sure that you're overcoming some of the characters that, if gone unchecked, they can actually ruin an entire match. They can beat everybody. Like the sniper class known as Widowmaker. If you leave her up on the top and she's just going to come and pick you guys off, she'll get you and that'll be the end of it. And as you see, sometimes with the healer sort of role, that comes into effect too. The other thing about it is this game is absolutely gorgeous. 100% gorgeous. All the landscapes, although they do seem more cartoony than anything else, they are always diverse. They're always different. The last level you played is not going to be anywhere near the level you played right now, and it's just wonderful looking. The other thing about it that I do love is the ultimates are they're exactly what they are. They feel like a great overpowered ability, but it just feels so good. I don't know whose thought it was over at Blizzard to make it to where you can turn into a tank, but I absolutely love it. It was fantastic. It was one of the best feelings to do in the game itself, is to go and turn into a tank, or some of them where you control this remote control tire and get triple, double kills. It feels fantastic. But with that being said, everything looks good too. Something that I always had the issue with Battleborn is that there's so much stuff happening on the screen, and you can just never, it gets clustered, it gets kind of, it narrows your vision. With this stuff, no matter if there's 4 or 5 people fighting in a little circle, you can always tell what's going on. And there's not too much clogging up your screen. You're not just focused on the health bars. You can see what people are doing. And I think it's a fantastic differential to what's going on with these character modes. It's simple, it's to the point, and it has a very nice feel to it. You have to know more than just one character. You have to have a little bit of going back and forth between them. Another thing that they have, it's very small, but it's the tiny details that count, is they'll have things such as the kill of the day, which actually does have a nice little ring to it. You get to see some of the cool plays that could happen, and something to shoot for a match. And then there's also a nice progression system that happens at the end where you like certain things that happen in the game. And I think that's a nice little touch that goes on to it. The other thing that you saw a little bit earlier is they let you know at the beginning when you're picking it. It's like there's too many tank heroes, there's not a lot of offense, you need builders. All these things put together make a very simple game, but also one with a lot of depth and is so much fun to play. So much fun to play. But like I said, there were the downfalls of where it feels a little bit clunkier, and I worry that, simple might not necessarily be the best thing. So, when it comes to the Overwatch, is this going to be a beta buy or a beta not? So I will be speaking in terms of the console type version. So the console ones that they have are going for $60. And I will say, in comparison to what we have here, there's a lot of other games that have like the first-person sort of element to it, like Paladins and everything like that. With this game itself, is it worth the $60? And where I did say with Battleborn, it was not. It was something that I felt like once it dropped down to $40, it would be something that you should definitely buy. Is this going to be worth the $60? And the one key component that makes it different is Blizzard's support. Blizzard's support makes this a beta buy. Mainly speaking is that with the $60 tag that you're having on it, yes, it is a simple game, but they are adding new stages, they are adding new characters, and it is all covered in that $60 tag. And that is a fantastic thing to have, that it's entirely immersive, it gets you into it. It's a quick, you can pick up, you can play a couple matches, and you can go about your day. It's very addicting. They have nice progression systems, and it's always going to be updated. There's no microtransactions that need to happen. And if they do, it's purely cosmetic. You don't need to buy anything to make sure that you're staying on top. You don't need to come back in 2 weeks from not playing and find a new character that everyone else bought and you can't afford to do, so you're left out of that meta. No, it's something that's always going to be updating. It's always going to have Blizzard support. But as I said, this is my opinion here. I think it's a beta buy. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of this game? Are you excited for it? Is it something that I brought up that you want to talk a little bit more about? And if you have already gone out and pre-ordered the game and you're buying the game now, let us know what you think of it. Once again, this has been Don from 165 Entertainment with beta buy or beta not, and you guys have a wonderful day.